Seems like it's every other week with Japan where we hear about the Japanese video gaming industry bending the knees to some sort of political, progressive, woke organization that is demanding that they shape their culture in the image of some westernized, idealized version of what the world should look like. And now we're hearing the very thing that's about to happen with Bandai Namco is exactly that, where they're going to be making some changes directly focusing on DEI initiatives that are going to shape and change the culture of video gaming within the Japanese world, and it's scaring a lot of gamers out there. And I think this is a situation that we're seeing with Bandai Namco at the moment, where it's doing every one of the big changes that we have been seeing in other parts of the Japanese video gaming industry in such a way that it's scaring the fan base when it comes to the people that love their popular IPs. And I think this is a situation that Bandai Namco has put itself in by subjecting itself to these westernized political ideologies that want to focus more on politics rather than good gameplay. And I think this is going to be a death knell to anything Bandai Namco. But if you know anything about Bandai Namco, they've been dedicated to this cause of westernizing their video games. And I think this is the final result, where we have them giving out their DEI initiatives and what they plan to do to shape and change the video gaming industry. That is something that gamers are not responding to. But that's the thing, they don't know that this is the gamer response anymore. To them, the gamer response is that they want more DEI in their video games, because that's what they're hearing from consultancy groups in America and a bunch of other groups that are bringing up these standards to the corporations. So they're listening to other corporate entities and they're coming down to this similar result. And I think gamers are feeling powerless right now, because we can tell they're being influenced by these activist organizations, and they probably don't even know it. They think this is just the American ideology nowadays and they must follow. And this is the thing that is angering the fan base and putting them in a helpless situation. It's the same thing that we saw with the Bandai Namco localization teams that admitted they ordered Japanese to censor their female character designs because they are not in line with their personal political standards with what they want to see from female characters. It didn't matter what the gamers want. It mattered about the political activism of the people that were doing the localization in America. And I think this is a situation that Bandai Namco is in right now, where it's going to be bullied by these political activist organizations that it doesn't realize are political actors rather than actually working towards their interests. And I think this is the thing that a lot of developers within the West are realizing right now. That's why a lot of games are failing. A lot of video gamers are stating their opinions about the games that are influenced by this westernized ideology. That's why you're seeing these big flops within the industry, like Kill the Justice League, like Dustborn, like Concord, like Flintlock. These games are failing at massive successive rates because the gamers are making their taste known that they don't want these games anymore, and they're going to have to see a response from the game developers if they will continue on putting out these low grade products. But that's not the case with a lot of Japanese developers right now. They're putting out products that are still strong enough, at least gameplay wise. I think Bandai Namco is depending on that with their new DEI initiatives, where they're focused on bringing about a change in the organization and how they represent different cultures and their personal culture and how it is looked upon in the West. And I think this is a thing that is going the opposite of the narrative of what's actually successful in the video gaming industry. You can just look at Black Myth Wukong. It followed its own cultural standards, and it's one of the biggest games of the year, if not the biggest game of the year. And I think this is a situation where Japan is just slow moving, slow reacting to the market, not understanding that people don't want these type of anti-cultural games that are only focused on westernized standards. People want to see other people's cultures, and that's what made Japanese games special. People saw Japanese culture and they gravitated towards that, and it seems like they're ripping away their own culture to satiate a foreign culture that is already in the decline. And I think that's the situation with a lot of things that we're seeing with localization teams and DEI efforts that are occurring within Japan. They're working on a failed model that we see failing actively in America at the moment. But regardless of the situation, we have the details of some of the things they want to actually implement and change within the video gaming industry. And I have to say, the way they went about this, Bandai Namco itself, is uniquely different from what we've been seeing throughout the video gaming industry in general, where they just bring in these consultancy firms, they bring in these foreign people, foreign agents, foreign workers that just dictate everything towards them. This is not what is happening exactly with Bandai Namco. Bandai Namco went to their their own personal quality assurance department with people within their own company, within their own culture. So there's no foreigners doing this. A person that actually studied English, they went and studied the DEI standards, and they translated and they took what they needed, and now they created their own DEI standards based on their own culture, reading over the materials. So I think this is a better way of approaching this, rather than bringing a foreign blue hair girl to reprimand and demand everything change in the game. They're actually still keeping it in-house, which I think is the smartest thing to do if you are a Japanese company, if you are going to follow these standards. Have someone look it over, maybe have someone look over the game player's response to these standards as well, and pick and choose the parts that you think are actually viable, which I do think they have some reasonable parts here that they did put in place about character hair. One thing I think is reasonable: characters have different hairstyles. You can have variations, which I think is a reasonable thing. That's not anything crazy. If DEI was just focused on having a variety of options when it comes to a game that is interested in doing something that has more diversity in it, you have these different skin tones and colors, and it fits the game, that's okay. I think that's fine, and I think this is reflected here, where they say they discuss how to properly create more diverse character designs, particularly in regards to the hairstyles. And I think it's okay. We go with the gender. Gender is the thing that's the most controversial thing, where they're replacing the basic female male body type with things that really denote the same thing, so it makes it pointless to actually change anything, the body type 1 or 2, or body type A and B, because it's still a binary choice. So what you're doing is pedantic and useless. It doesn't make any statement at all, except that you're trying to appease some loud vocal minority of people that have a problem with something that is oriented in reality when it comes to gender, male, female, and everything related to that. So I think that's when people are going to have that problem, when they're thinking, okay, why you have to eliminate something that clearly still states and denotes the same thing that you're looking for in a game. And I think that's the thing people have a problem with: body type 1, 2, A, B, male, female. It means the same thing. So why you're deleting male and female? And it goes down to the politics of everything. And I think that's the annoying thing people are going to talk about. But when they talk about character gender here, they say it's explained that one's gender is made up of 4 parts, including biological, gender, orientation, and expression. And it seems like this is the quality assurance team reading the things and saying, okay, this is what America thinks about this. And I think that's the interesting part I have about this, where it really clearly reads like a Japanese person trying to study and understand this whole DEI thing that's occurring in America, and synthesizing it down in such a way where it doesn't impede the Japanese cultural ways. And I think this is the appropriate way of approaching this if you are a Japanese company. I don't know if it will be successful or failure. I think so far some of these companies like Capcom have tried to thread the needle where they're still making successful games, but I'm telling you, how long will that last? That's hard to say. But going down to accessibility, I think this is a thing. Okay, having games being able to be played by disabled people, everyone agrees with that. But after that, I think they go on to say they want to focus on making games easily playable to people that are just not experienced and that don't actually have any skills to actually play games. Or I'm like, okay, you're gonna make games dumb and easy to play now? That's just not the way a gamer approaches a game. They want that difficulty, they want that expression of actually playing a game at a difficult level. And I think this is the thing that we've been seeing, because a lot of these new age gaming journalists and reviewers that are coming into this space that don't want to play games and are there to just push their activism, they don't want games to actually be difficult anymore. This is the philosophy that's being brought into Capcom now, where they need to make everything more simple, less complex, because the people that are now playing the games, the modern audience, don't actually want to play games. So we're going to make it as easy as possible for them. And I'm like, no, you got to keep that same difficulty. And I think that's what people like about Black Myth Wukong right now. It's still a difficult game to actually play. And I think this standards that we're seeing being set here by Capcom are the antithesis of what we're seeing in the video gaming industry for successful franchises. Stellar Blade was still a difficult game people enjoyed playing, and I think Elden Ring is one of the most difficult games, and people are playing those games. And I think this is Capcom, this is the Bandai Namco, this is Japan being slow to the uptick of what's actually successful in gaming and just trying to follow the Western lead of what they're saying is successful rather than actually looking at the market, looking up ahead and say, oh, a Chinese game that's actually difficult, that doesn't care about Westernized culture is doing great. Maybe we should actually look within and do our own focused culture initiative where we ignore these Westernized standards. And I think this is the thing I want to see from Japanese culture, but with these DEI standards, it doesn't seem like that's going to be the case for us in the near future. But it's a sad state of affairs for gaming. I'm hoping things change, but Bandai Namco seems like it's stuck into this DEI rut for the near future, and hopefully other Japanese organizations that are not Bandai Namco stray away from this thought process and start making their own games in their own way that is made for the gamers and not for these social political influencers that want to take away gaming from the gamers. And I'm hoping that's not the case for the future of Japanese gaming. But you tell me what you think about the situation. I'd like to hear your comments. Like, comment, share, subscribe. This is Wagner Knows Why. Catch you next time.